an analyst is specializing in the communication media and the Venezuelan population. So I give the right to speak to Dr. Oscar Schémel. Good afternoon, President of the National Assembly, deputies, friends, visitors. Excuse my coughing. It's a very stressful cough. Never before has the country been more united, not only in relationship to the defense of sovereignty, peace, and the territorial integrity. The country has united with relations to the economical, the social model. It shares the same language, the same vision. The emotions are similar. Never before in my memory the country had been so united with relationship to the fundamental subjects. This initiative of the Council for Sovereignty and Peace guarantees the participation of all, because the people are precisely in this route. Over 90% of Venezuelans reject the attempt of invasion, and 83% thinks that the invasion has to do with taking our richness over, especially petroleum, and barely 6% declares that the reason for the tentative of invasion has to do with the comeback against drug trafficking. But that proves to us a great social cohesion that not necessarily has to do with political parties, but there is a fundamental cohesion facing the main subjects and the fundamental values. There is where I believe that the imperialism hasn't managed to make us give up, because this tentative of invasion has to do a lot with the war manuals of fifth generation. It is not important the invasion, but to generate an ambience of uncertainty, of being very nervous, of a collective neurosis that allows imperialism in a way to break the unity of the country and to break the unity of those who lead and to break the hope. So it is about a new logic, a new paradigm of war. What we're living today in Venezuela is maybe one of those cases that is emblematic of these fifth-generation wars that was applied over 20 years ago, and one of the ones that I highlight, especially one of the fundamental aspects of this fifth-generation war, is to control the language, to control the language, because we think with words, Who controls the words control the thoughts, the reasoning, the interpretation, frames the vision of a society, and a country controls the values. For example, today democracy has nothing to do with the popular participation. Today democracy is aligning with the West, and that happens with a group of terms. Our dictionaries have been trained to submit us. So us as the media, we should pay a lot of attention to how we communicate, not only the tone and the style, but also the language that we use, because there could be leaking terms and words that turn into a boomerang, and what they do is back up the strategies of war of the fifth generation and emotional manipulation. Let's not forget that we think with words and we think what we feel. The emotion is key in behavior. Well, the psychiatrist Rodriguez can go deeper than me in this subject. But if you control the language, you control the minds, you control the behaviors. If you control emotions, you control the conduct of the people, and you can submit them without shooting one single shot. So this communication media has to relearn the media behavior of the country, and to learn the new relationship that Venezuelans have with communication media, the traditional ones, the social media. In the last survey that we did on communication media, there was a data that surprised me. Over 30% of Venezuelans informs themselves from conversations that are personal. The closeness, the proximity, the relationship that is daily and vital is also a fundamental source of communication. Not only the great media, and by the way, the radio is the only traditional media that grows from 5 to 6 historical percent. It reached to 8, 10, and 11% as a communication media that the people use the most to inform themselves. That has to do with in the houses, the housewives. They can't be handling their phones because they are cooking, cleaning, and doing anything. And the only thing that they have available is their ears. But it is an interesting data. The radio, especially, is the only traditional media that has grown. But I pay a lot of attention to how people are communicating, and one of the ways is through personal conversations on the street. That is why very good the slogan, network, streets, and media. So we are facing a new media behavior that we have to start recognizing and relearning, so the quality of the relationships that we have between the different media with the citizens is a lot more effective. Sometimes we don't pay enough attention to the language, the communication, and politics, and I believe that is vital. In case we are at the order to any consultation, we're always at the order. Unconditionally.